At one point over at the White House, the president specifically, in response to a question from our own Jessica Yellen, the president specifically said Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, and in the president's words, is not right on this issue, referring to the criticism that Senator Graham has leveled against the Obama administration for the buildup to what happened in Boston, also on the Benghazi killings in Libya as well. Senator Graham is joining us on the phone right now. He's in Phoenix, Arizona. Did you have a chance, Senator Graham, I assume you did, to hear the exchange between Jessica Yellen and the president at the news conference?
Yes, somebody played it back for me, and I just say, Wolf, with all due respect to the president, we've had 8 Americans killed in the last 7 months by radical Islamists, 4 in Benghazi, 4 in Boston, and I think our systems are degrading, and I stand by that statement. It's not like I relish saying that. I just think it's true. In Benghazi, multiple warnings were coming out of our consulate, our ambassador Stevens. They were ignored. Request for security was denied. The consulate became a death trap. For 7.5 hours, nobody could come to the aid of the people who were under attack. And after the attack, Susan Rice and the administration told a narrative that just didn't hold water. It wasn't a spontaneous event caused by video. Boston has got its problems too.
All right, well, let me play the clip. This is the president speaking at the news conference, responding to Jessica Yellen's question.
I know Lindsey Graham, who is a senior member of the Armed Services Committee, has said that Benghazi and Boston are both examples of the U.S. going backwards on national security. Is he right, and did our intelligence miss something?
No, Mr. Graham is not right on this issue, although I'm sure it generated some headlines. I think that what we saw in Boston was state, local, federal officials, every agency, rallying around a city that had been attacked, identifying the perpetrators just hours after the scene had been examined. We now have 1 individual deceased, 1 in custody. Charges have been brought. I think that all our law enforcement officials performed in an exemplary fashion after the bombing had taken place, and we should be very proud of their work.
Very proud of their work. All right, Senator Graham, you want to directly respond to this part of what the president said?
Absolutely. Great work by the Boston Police Department, great courage by the Boston people, all the police organizations in the Boston area, the FBI, to catch the guy afterwards. The FBI had a photo of the suspect, and I still don't know why that didn't ping the system to say we've already talked to him. But my concerns are about what happened before. He was interviewed in 2011, the older brother was. Got a warning letter from the Russian intelligence service sent to the FBI in March and the CIA in November. He goes back to Russia and Dagestan in 2012, Wolf, and DHS picks him leaving and coming, but they don't share the information with the FBI or the CIA, so he's never interviewed. They never share this guy's presence with the Boston Fusion Cell, who's supposed to be tracking terrorists in the Boston area. And when he comes back in June of 2012, he goes on a YouTube channel, a website on the internet for the whole world to see, and embraces radical Islam. A guy that's already in the system as suspected to be a radical Islamist is now on the web inside the United States embracing a radical Islamist ideology, and the rest is history. So this is stovepiping. The FBI and the CIA not being informed of his travels back to Russia. When he gets on the website, nobody comes back to him and say, hey, listen, in 2011, you said you loved America. You wanted to be an Olympic boxer. What are you doing now interacting with these radical Islamic websites? Our systems are failing, in my view.
I guess the argument that some administration officials have made is that the FBI, after they got that initial tip from Russian intelligence back in 2011, and the president specifically said the Russian intelligence agency alerted the U.S. to the older brother and mother, the president said today, and mother as well as potentially being sympathizers. The president then said they did, the FBI, they went out and interviewed the older brother, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, and the mother. And after their investigation, they came up with nothing, so they closed that file. So what are you saying? That was a blunder there? Is that what you're saying? They didn't do a good job in the interview?
No, I'm saying they did a reasonable job in the interview. They took the warning letter from the Russian intelligence service. They interviewed the suspect, the older brother. They opened up a case file. And in November, the CIA gets the same warning letter, and they enter this guy into the TIDE system, a terrorist data bank. And once he goes back to Russia, DHS picks up the fact that the system pings, and the FBI and the CIA are never informed about his trip to Russia. So that goes back to 9/11, pre-9/11 mentality of not sharing information. Wouldn't it have been great to know he went back to Russia and we could have followed him up? I'm disappointed in the Russians, but that's no excuse for us not being able to track a guy in our system who goes back to one of the most radical parts of the world. And when he comes back and he starts embracing radical Islam for the whole world to see, how did we miss that? Obviously, we've got a lot of things to do in terms of postmortems to fix our system, so people like this, when they come back to America from Russia and start embracing radical Islamic ideology, that we visit them once again and say, in 2011, you said you loved this country, you wanted to be an Olympic boxer for this country. What are you doing now on these websites? And, oh, by the way, what did you do in Russia? You got asylum from Dagestan. Why did you go back?
You know, the president did say at the news conference that based on what I've seen so far, and I'm paraphrasing what the president said, he believes the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security did what they were supposed to do. He did acknowledge that the Director of National Intelligence, the DNI, Director Clapper, has begun a full review of what happened to make sure important lessons are learned, so if there were mistakes, they are not repeated down the road. And I assume, Senator, you support that kind of investigation. Do you support the DNI Director Clapper conducting this investigation, or do you think there should be an independent commission of inquiry along the lines of the 9/11 Commission to take a look and study what happened?
I think it's a joint select committee of the Congress should relook at Benghazi, because there are people now alleging they want to come forward but are afraid to do so. When it comes to Boston, we need a joint select committee to look at the FBI, the CIA, and Homeland Security. The system did not work as designed. When he left to go back to Russia, the system pinged at DHS, and they were supposed to share the information with the FBI and the CIA. The Fusion Center in Boston was supposed to have been made aware, hey, you've got a guy that we've looked at in the Boston area. I'm glad that Clapper is going to do an investigation, but Congress, quite frankly, has been less than strong when it comes to investigating Benghazi and Boston, and I hope we will do our own independent investigation. It's not so much about blaming people as to get it right. We've lost 8 Americans in 7 months, 4 overseas, 4 at home. Bin Laden's dead. Radical Islam is on the march. We need to up our game. Clearly, to me, the systems did not work the way they're supposed to. I'm shocked that this happened after 9/11, where people no longer talk to each other. I thought we'd gotten over that.
Senator Graham, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.